Okay, so for this layout, I am going to be scrapbooking these pictures from Savannah, Georgia. We went up there and it was a beautiful town. If you haven't visited Savannah, you should check it out. Of course, we went to the beach, and so this paper line's perfect for it. Okay, so I just wanted to point out a couple thoughts that I was kind of going through my mind. I noticed that I took a lot of vertical pictures. Seems to be, I don't know, I must be in this vertical picture taking mood lately. I'm gonna have to be more mindful of that to do more horizontal, vertical pictures. And so I'm gonna have to kind of create and design around that need for multiple verticals. And so anytime I see a lot of vertical pictures, instantly my mind goes to a straight across design. Now you could do this, and again, I see a lot of times we want to kind of cover the page. I always personally say clean lines, keep your eye focused, and give it a little bit more of a storytelling. So when I do have a lot of verticals, then naturally I just tend to go that way with straight lines with my photos. Okay, so of course the lighthouse is super fun. I'm excited to play with that. Tiny Seaside is one of the sets that we decided to feature along with these. So if you don't have it, check out Tiny Seaside. And then also Jason Lane is the other featured set. So those are both of the featured sets, which I'll be using in some of my samples, and you'll see in Shiloh's and Debbie's samples in the PDF as well. All right, okay, so right after that, I went through the title cards and I pulled out ones that I felt like would work specifically for this focus, which I'm gonna be focusing a little bit more on the lighthouse theme for this one, and probably my next layout I'll focus more on the beachy theme. So I also then decided to pull these patterns out. So I'm going to be using those mostly on this layout, and then just planning accordingly. I was like, okay, well, I'll use these other ones, these other back sheets, and these ones for my second layout and whatever comes after that. But definitely every Kiwi Club kit, I at least plan a two-page layouts plus cards or one pages or pocket pages, whatever tends to fit the need for that kit. Okay, so that's where I'm at mentally, right? I know my pictures, I know kind of what title cards, so everything else is to the side to not overwhelm me. And then I'm going to focus more on these papers. So everything else in the kit for the time being is set to the side. This kit has a lot of fun sets, designer template sets in it. So you get the sailboat, which is really fun, anchor. You also get the nautical, the sign here, which I'm gonna just point out for whatever it's worth, works with this title card. So we made it functional and useful so that if you could decide, do you want it to say sail, you can trace each one of these out, add a little pop-up and place them on here. So you're gonna see that a lot in probably our samples, right? That one actually fits perfect right there. So you don't even have to trace each individual one out, simply just trace that whole thing out. So that works great. The other thing I wanna point out is these sailboats can be really great. The sailboat tops, little lights coming off of your lighthouse as well. Okay, so that's a really look overall. Okay, so I'm gonna start playing and creating with this specific layout, and we'll see what we can come up with. All right, so over here on the left, I wanted to do a sunburst. Sometimes they're called starburst, but basically a paper sunburst. But I wanted to just be very thin right here. Often you see them taking the whole page, which I think is absolutely fine, and I might do actually on another page. Anyways, but I just wanted to kind of do more of a little bit of a curtain feel. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting some strips. So I'll show you here how I'm doing that. Okay, and so you're gonna wanna use a variety of different patterns. So luckily they're double-sided, so you're gonna get a lot of patterns out of it. So this one I did at 2 inches by 8, and that's the size, the width I got. So here, let me show you. So on this one, I want it to be a little bit thinner, so I'm gonna go probably down to 1/2 inch, 1.5 on this strip. So I'm gonna cut a 1.5 inch strip, and this is by 12 inches here. And now I'm gonna take it and do 8 inches. Right, so now that's gonna give me a top and a bottom. So you could do, if you want your point right here to meet at the middle of your paper line, you could do 6 and 6, but I wanted mine to come down a little bit more and have a meeting point, a little offset, not completely right in the middle of the 12 by 12 paper. Okay, so now that I have these strips, basically I'm just going to go from point to corner to corner. So I'm gonna go from this corner, so I'm gonna line that corner up, and then this bottom corner, and slice those, right? So I'm kind of getting, and then of course you have double-sided. So you get 2 of them done, and you can go thinner, or you can just layer them behind, like so, depending on how you want your burst. Okay, and then you would just do the same thing with your bottom piece. Point to point on those corners. Like that. Okay. Now, depends on how many you want, so you would just keep adding as many as you want. Maybe I'll do a couple more. So I don't want the patterns to go in a straight row, so I might offset mine a little. So for example, maybe put this one so it's not the third one, put it over here. And I am gonna have these coming off, so I'll do a little bit of collage here in the middle to make up the width that I'll be missing there. Okay, we'll get to that here in a minute. I think I might do a couple more, so it's up to you. Right there I did 2 different strips. Again, one was 2 inches, one was 1.5. I might try a little bit thinner, just because you can layer them, of course. So now it's just a matter of what other pattern color I want. I really just want a little bit of lightness in there, so I'm gonna go with this one. And because my pattern goes this way, I'm going to cut my strip this way. And I'm only going to be using the blue on this side, so even though it's double-sided, I'm not going to use the lighthouses on this one. So I'm going to cut a 1-inch strip, so a little bit thinner than last time. Okay. And the same thing, go to 8-inch length. And again, I'm only going to be using this light blue, so I'll have a few of those light blues to just add a little bit of a light color into this mix. Let me do this other one really quickly. Okay. And then I might just slide those in. Right, just a few little slivers of this texture color going on here. Now you're going to get 2, so it's up to you if you want to add all of them. I'm trying to think if I like the thickness of all of them. Maybe another light one over here. Otherwise, if you like the 4, you can just go with 4 patterns. But if you want just a little bit more, then you can add some more in there. Okay, so now that I cut out a few of those, what I'm gonna do is actually want to sew it down. So I'm gonna actually pull out my sewing machine. I don't know what it is. Lately I've just had the itch to sew. So now that I have it out, my sewing machine that is, I'm going to probably take advantage of it and use a lot of sewing in a lot of my more recent projects. So first, before I sew anything down, I need to, of course, ink the edges. So I'm gonna ink those edges up really quickly. And then once I get that done, then I want to add a little adhesive to put it in place, and then I will pull out my sewing machine. Okay, so now I'm going to use my sewing machine and I'm just going to do some stitches down just to give it a little bit more texture and dimension. And I didn't add much adhesive because it's actually going to adhere by stitching it. It's going to keep it in place as well. So I did very minimal adhesive, just enough so that it stayed in place while I was sewing it. Paper bends, so you're just going to want to kind of bend that up so you can get it through. Again, depending on, some of you might have a smaller little scrapbooking sewing machine. This is a sewing machine that I use for occasionally quilting. It's been a while. And then I'm just going to go straight down. So I'm just going to go right down to the next one, down at the bottom. And then I'm going to follow the edge. You could do some right along the edge or straight down in the middle of the starters. I'm going to do both. All right, now I'm going to just trim up the ends. And then again, I'm going to add some kind of layers or just some decorative embellishments right here in the middle where these two meet. So it's kind of fun, I'm excited. It looks really cute. These colors are really fun and calming, and that's kind of fun. Kind of switch it up occasionally. All right, let me add a little ink to these ends too. Okay, so I'm going to finish up this page. So now that I have that in place, I'm simply going to now finish up designing kind of what I want for my page. This, see, I don't want it to go right on top. Well, I don't know. Let's play for a moment. I didn't want to go on top because I didn't want to hide all that, but I did think about having it off to the side a little, right? And then I could put something here in the middle, or maybe, let's see, right, from Tiny Seaside, just some fun little elements like that. And then have the pictures, which I do want coming out of that sunburst. So that's okay, I'll figure it out here. I could have it not come out of the sunburst and it would look like that. But if I do want the pictures, then what you could do is just trim it up, the picture, so it tucks right in there. So trim the picture. I'm gonna think on that. I'm going to think on that for a moment. Okay, and then over here, I had those couple extra 4x6s, so I trimmed them so they're smaller. So these are actually 2x6s here on those. And I have plenty more pictures from this that I've printed. I'm gonna probably do another layout with these, but it's from the same trip. So part of me thinks maybe I will maybe just have these come like this so it meets there. And I could put this on this side so that there's no gap. I don't like it as much. I like it on this side. And I think I like I'm gonna do something like that. Little collage here, and keep it very simple. I did think about doing some sunburst, you know, because I did a vertical here or horizontal. How about doing it vertical? Let's see here, and just maybe doing one border. Normally we would do, you know, a whole border across. Kind of thinking just one right here in between the two of them, and then something like this just kind of here at the end. We change this picture up. Let's do this one over here and this one here so that the then the two beach ones are together. Okay, so then let's move this one over here and this one here. And then I was thinking of trimming this out of the title card, Light of My Life. So I'd probably tilt that way. So I'll do something like that. Cute, okay. I do love the sailboat. I'm gonna have to find a way to use it on my next project. It's so cute. I mean, I could absolutely collage it all together over here, but I don't want it to be too busy. So I'll just keep it kind of simple, like so. And let's see. That's cute. Okay. Easy peasy. And then up here, either I could do just a little bit of some basic strips and maybe, you know, something coming off, or maybe I should do the sunburst thing again. I'm thinking the sunburst. Okay, let's go with that. Okay, so for this top, if I want to do the sunburst up here again, I'm just going to stick to the same patterns, right, that I already decided that I'm going to use specifically for this 2-page layout. And what do you think this is? This is probably close to, well, this is a 4x4 here. So yeah, so it's a little 4x4. So because I need the points to go out, so I'll probably do 6 inches on those. Maybe 5 could get me away with that. Let's see here. This is 6. And so I'm thinking it's probably going to be at about 5, 5.5, maybe 6 inches. If you want, you can test it out. So let me grab a piece of scrap paper here for a moment. And basically, what I mean when you're testing it out, right? Here's just a piece of cardstock. So let's say it's, well, let's start at 6 inches. And let's go by 3. This is going to give us an idea of what it takes to fill this spot, because you want them to go all the way up over your page. This way I had a spot that I'm going to hide, but if I want my starburst to go all the way up, right, then I need to make sure that they're long enough so I can trim off the excess. So it's got to go from here to here. So I'm gonna, and it can't go from here to here. It's got to go from the lowest point down. So really, I only probably could get away with 5 inches, 5.5 inches. So just so you kind of get an idea, because you don't want to be too conservative with your paper and then you end up not getting what you want, but you also don't want to just go exactly 6 inches and waste, you know, 1 inch of your paper either. So let's try this corner. How's that work? Will my pictures cover it? Yep. Okay, then that's what I need for this design. So I'm going to do 5 inches by a variety of different widths. I actually think I want this smaller. So this was 5 by 2 here. I like that look, and I might do some 5 by 1s as well. The 3's just too big for the feel that I'm going for. I like the little bit smaller, tighter look. Okay, so let me go ahead and cut those out. Now that I know I'm not going to be wasting my paper, so 5 inches here. These are double-sided, so I'll use the lighthouse on the one design, and then the other I'll do like so. All right, so I decided to change it up because often you see the starburst style where it goes, you know, on top of the page, for example. So you could do something like this, right? And you could have it on the whole top of the page, but after I was playing around for just a moment, I thought, you know what, how fun would it be that it's just over here in the corner? And so that's what I'm gonna do. And then I decided to take my little embellishments and put them here so that it met that point instead of having them down here where I had them. So that's where I'm at, and I'm going to ink the edges and sew them into the corner of this page now. And I'm gonna go ahead and sew a little bit, some lines on this as well, just like I did on the other side of the page. All right, so time to put my pictures back. All the sewing is done. I actually added some stitching along the edges as well. And so that was kind of fun. And then I'm just going to line my pictures up. And I think what I'm gonna do, I cut some white strips, and I'm just gonna do like a matting along my pictures. Kind of mat those in.